Welcome to House Education, March 20th. The committee is meeting Friday afternoon. This is going to be a relatively brief afternoon as the snow is falling and turning to rain or not. Roads could get icy. Our purpose this afternoon is to run through the miscellaneous ed bill, just in terms of having our order and whatnot prepared. And then just sort of update everybody on work that is going on to have us have some pretty significant stuff to look at on Tuesday. So let's talk miscellaneous ed bill. First of all, and while that's coming up, Rob, congratulations.
Yes.
Presented a bill, got it 2 amendments.
There's some questioning on the floor.
Yeah, got an Ann Donahue question even.
That's right. That's
It was a tame one.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I will present the bill. I'm just going to basically say, here's what's coming up, and then I will yield to the first person who it would is Jana.
Bill 2, the rep from,
All right. Peter to Jana. And now, Jana, are you feeling fine about yours?
I think so. I had a couple of questions that Beth and I went through, but yes, I mean, I think it's only a couple sentences, should be fine. And then I think I hand it off to Aaron, right? Is that the next
I believe
section?
so, unless
Yes.
it's moved around.
I section for Jana, which is got compact. Right, and Aaron, you're feeling fine about yours?
All the compact language is the universal compact language that every state, like, it's not up to us to touch it.
You actually can't make any change. That's the same thing in Office of Legislative Counsel. You actually can't make any changes to it.
And just again, we've been part of this. There's money in the budget for dues.
I'm not even sure who will be, did we formally withdraw? Is that what happened?
It's all, I put the act number and everything in the section by section summary. I believe it was 1994.
Okay.
And when do we
And
withdraw?
no one knows why.
1994.
Oh, 94. And why do we withdraw?
I don't know.
You can say, yeah, answer that.
Lost to the sands of time.
Exactly. You gotta, except you have to use that term.
Defer to Rep. Emmons. Number from Springfield.
All right, and what comes up after that?
Bates is gone then, so I think it's me.
BOCES, sorry.
Is the next part the BOCES part?
Yes.
Okay, so then, Aaron, I'm gonna ask you to say, section 3, or we are not going to go into section 3 as it is
3 through 12.
3 through 12, which was simply changing the name from BOCES to CISA, because it is being struck in an upcoming amendment, and the language will be put in a different bill.
Struck in the ways, is it the Ways and Means Amendment?
Yes.
Yep, and I have that all in the section by section summary.
And then you will then now defer to,
Two,
Blah,
right?
leave, right? Class size minimums next.
Yep.
and Beth, you're feeling fine about?
I gave it to you just in case I said what needed to be said. Basically, it's the dates. We're not changing any
It's
policy.
more just the why.
I just kind of said we're not changing any of the policy about class size minimums. 7A is exactly what section 7 was in Act 73, and we've added a section 7B to reconcile the dates, kind of thing. And I'll go in and change section numbers and page numbers.
Yeah.
Kind of
Just
stuff.
say, let people know that it is to better align statute with.
Yeah, I think I mentioned that they go into effect on July 1st, but rulemaking initiates August 1st.
That is not
Or
accurate.
no? Oh, the 3-year time, the 3-year.
So that, I'm
I
sorry.
don't have it in front of me. He's got it.
It's been a long week. I should not have wagged my finger at you.
That's fine, because that's why I had like someone to proofread what I wrote.
This is not about you. The Act 73 required rulemaking to be initiated on or before.
On or before, and I think I did say on or before.
Okay,
Because I noticed it's on or before August 1st. So essentially the clock doesn't start, the 3-year clock doesn't start until either July 1st of 2027 or rulemaking has been adopted. But I think it's in there, but I always like something to proofread and say, no, you have a funny word in here you didn't mean to say. But I think I'm okay with it for the most part, not having it right in front of me.
Get questions on the policy part of class size minimums.
It's not
I know it's not, but if we do,
the answer.
Uh,
This does not address the policy.
right,
Right,
and if,
yeah.
yeah, that isn't satisfactory.
I can yield to the member from.
class size
Yeah.
minimum law was passed, it's in law in Act 73.
We didn't, all we touched was trying to reconcile the dates, not the policy.
All right, and Beth, you are then going to Leanne?
Member from Glover. Wait for the last,
Yes.
for the next section.
So one of my questions was, since we're taking out the BOCES seesaw part, that doesn't change the number. This is still section 14, right?
correct.
That's it.
Okay.
Oh,
And
because
then-
that hasn't been
Well,
deleted.
and also, it won't have been amended yet.
Right, okay.
Right.
Right. So I
You got criminal background checks, is that right?
have criminal background checks, and like I told you, I wrote 2 different versions. One goes through every single subsection and explains what it does, and the other.
Short one.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with the one that just summarizes the main points. I didn't get into like the thing that happened that made them ask for this. I just am talking about what the bill actually does and its purpose. Is that okay? I don't think I'm totally clear on the trigger thing.
Yeah, that's.
Okay,
Just, that it's all about, their desire to be able to do criminal background checks for employees who will be interacting with students, potentially interacting with students.
okay. And then there's a section 15 that just updates how we do that. So I'm assuming I'm supposed to include that as well.
I think I'm just looking at this very quickly, as you introduce it, I would say, this seeks to allow the agency to do criminal background checks on employees or contractors interacting with students.
Okay.
Before you start saying things like sex offenses and all that.
I really have to say sex on the floor. Ugh.
But you don't. You
No.
don't say it at all. I'm just reading what you wrote.
Okay, don't do it.
Sit there. can-
So wait, sorry, can you repeat how you worded that?
Me?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think section 14, will allow the Agency of Education to conduct criminal background checks on employees and contractors who, potentially may interact with children. I almost don't even know if you need to say anything more than that.
No,
That's like my entire floor report.
It's basically follows the same procedure that,
And then you can say, and section 14 lays out the process for that. Section 15,
you can relate it to chaperones.
So the short version I gave you is still too long?
Yep.
I have to be
Yeah.
printed, I have to.
Okay,
mine's too long.
you can just say,
So section 14 lays out the process and section 15 does what?
I would just say sections 14 and 15, and then whatever I said at the beginning. Sections 14 and 15 of the bill allow the Agency of Education to conduct criminal background checks.
Sorry, I feel like you just said that 2 different ways.
Yeah, I would just say,
Okay.
well, rather than trying to like break out the sections, just say section 14 and 15. And then whatever I said, allows the Agency of Education to conduct criminal background checks on employees or contractors who potentially may.
Basically, it's one sentence. Here's my floor point. Section 14 and 15 will allow the Agency of Education to conduct criminal background checks on employees and contractors who potentially may interact with children. I now yield back to the member from court.
You could do that. You could say this came at the request of the agency or something like
This
that.
came at the request of the.
Uh,
I think
Time.
mine is as many words as it needs to.
All right, that's it. Just those sentences.
I think that, what do people think? I think that's
It
sufficient.
requires them, right? Like, it's not at the discretion of the agency, it requires.
They shall.
So,
It
Yeah,
requires
that,
it
I
allows.
actually think you should put in the word required.
maybe requires instead of allows.
Will require, okay.
Because they,
And then, so it may be good to just mention, this was a agency.
Yep, that's my second sentence.
Yeah, because if you're requiring someone to do something, it's nice to know that they want to do it.
yeah. Right.
I would suggest you all
Sometime.
think of what questions they
Yes.
in
But is it-
anticipation, because when you're that brief
Yeah,
Well,
and people have read the language,
I'll print out,
read it again.
yeah, I'll print out
Understand every word.
both the long and the short version and have it in front of me so that if people do ask about
There you go.
section by section, I can go.
You need to understand what it's worth.
couple questions on this. One, the process that is laid out in 14 and 15 is the same as what it is for teachers,
Superintendent.
superintendent. So you may want
Oh,
to throw
that's
that little
good.
tidbit in there. That the process laid out in section 14 and 15 is the same process for superintendents. And Ways and Means is going to be dealing with who pays the fee.
Do I say that or let
No,
them?
no, just don't even talk about it.
Okay,
So it'll be, how are they gonna pay for it? Have we,
But in the back of your mind, I
But
know-
is it, Beth, do you have a sense of, is it kind of policy among state employees that if they require criminal background checks?
Oh, I have no idea.
It's not our issue, it's Ways and Means
Government.
anyway.
all right, well, if anyone asks for more detail, I'll have it available, but I'll stay out of it if I can.
Yeah.
And then it comes to me,
Wrap it up.
wrap it up. Okay, so I do witnesses and effective dates.
And vote.
I always forget one of these.
Effective date,
she's a witness.
witnesses,
We were 11-0-0.
and vote.
Just so you know.
You were.
All right, so we will have to hear the other amendments. Probably, I think that will take us somewhere between 40 and 60 seconds.
Read it.
Ways and Means struck the CISA stuff for us. And then put in that the state pays for the criminal background checks for the employees and contractors.
Literally
Is that it?
2 instances and that's what it.
All right, and did anything happen in approach?
I say, it didn't even go to approach, but does it
It did.
have to? If, okay, it did.
Yeah.
Because now that this agency's paying the fee.
It's about the,
This, I'm sure.
it's about the membership in ECS, why it had to go to approach.
Yes, yeah.
Can I ask a question about?
But they didn't change anything. They just.
The section 14 and 15 that I don't know the answer to.
Yeah.
That is that I noticed when going over it that they have the option to put the background check into a subscription service so that it will just automatically and periodically spit out if an employee has committed a crime since they were hired. And is that something that we also do in like public education for employees?
Question for Beth. That's a really good question.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
So it says at the end of this bill, the subscription service, I mean, it uses the language in the bill.
Yeah, hold on, let me pull it
And
up.
I looked up what that was and it's like you can sign up rather than have
Go in and do it.
an employee who already has worked in public schools have to get fingerprinted again. You can just put in their name and birth date and do it more easily because they've already been fingerprinted.
Yep, yep, hold on, let me pull it up.
Okay. And so like, once you've done that, you also can sign up for a subscription that will just, anytime they commit a crime, eventually spit it back to you. And I just wondered if that's going on for me,
If they've-
like, as an
They've
employee.
been accused of committing a crime.
Yeah,
Or Or they had to be committed.
And why are you wondering
May-
about?
Not me particularly. I committed HR crimes.
Teachers.
You have to check with
Yeah.
your superintendent.
I bet it's a
review,
contract
Because it says
issue.
rechecking criminal record may be accomplished through subscription service, so some may
Right,
use it,
so,
some may
but so
not.
public school employees also could potentially be subject to ongoing
Yes,
criminal background checks all the time.
yes.
Well, you wouldn't have to go through a criminal background check.
No, 'cause
unless
you've done
you were
it.
Applying for something.
Well, no, this is saying that even after you're hired, the subscription
Checking.
can do this over and over and over.
For the next time you apply for another job.
I don't think that's what it.
Checking criminal records is accomplished, may be accomplished through that.
But it also says that even after they're hired, in case they commit a crime after they were hired. Well, I looked up what the subscription service.
You're looking at something that's not in the bill. You're looking
Yeah,
at what a
I like
subscription service
researched what
does.
that was.
Yeah, that's what we do.
So it's not just at the time of hire, it's after you were hired. If you got in an accident or a drunk driving or something, 6 months after you were hired, eventually it would tell your employer. I mean, they'd probably.
If they were signed up for that feature in the security features.
Right, so my,
Especially with a sporadically hired contractor, it might be easier.
yeah, my question just is this just the AOE or are we doing this throughout public schools?
But it's not germane to the bill.
It's germane.
That's a question for your attorney, just.
Well, and I'm asking it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out the answer for this
I
question.
would ask someone in your school community.
I'm right here.
Are there ongoing
That's not consistent
criminal
process.
background?
I cannot answer whether there are ongoing background checks, but I will tell you, sorry, I had to restart my computer now, anyway, but I'm looking at it now. Section 15 is an amendment to section 256, which is current law in Title 16. The title of that statute tells you, I think, all you need to know for this bill. And from a legal perspective, continued validity of criminal record check, maintenance of records. This is current law that's applicable to all of the criminal record checks that are conducted pursuant to this chapter in Title 16. So that's teachers, superintendents, AOE now, and anyone else listed therein. The only reason it's here is because we needed to add AOE in as one of the employers
Right.
who this section now applies to.
Yeah.
What this section says is, or at least what you see here, subsection A says, anyone required to request a criminal record check under this subchapter about a person who has previously undergone a check, regardless of whether the check was for student teaching, licensure, or employment purposes, shall comply with that requirement by acquiring the results of the previous criminal record check, unless, so if you are changing schools, maybe you had, for licensure, you had to have a background check and now you're being employed. Maybe you're going from the field to AOE. This is saying you have to use the same background check that was already done, unless the person refuses to authorize the release of information, the record no longer exists. Since the record check, there has been a period of 1 year or more during which the person has not worked for a Vermont school district. And then that lists all of the applicable employees, and that's the only reason we have this in here, because we have to list AOE as otherwise required by this chapter. And then the subscription service language is current law. So whether or not anyone is taking advantage of this, I have no idea.
Okay.
Outside of all of this is labor law and employment law. And I am making an assumption, and we all know what assume stands for. Your contracts address your behavior as far as criminal conduct, arrests, convictions, et cetera.
Right.
And how those may fit into your employment contract. So if there's a question about like how often are people's records checked or something like that, you have no idea.
Yeah, that's just,
Current
that
law.
was what I was wondering, was if that was part of teachers and other employees as well.
But yeah,
We don't know.
All right, so are everybody feeling good about the Ed bill then? Which is on notice for
Tuesday.
Tuesday. And there hasn't been any talk about token sessions. That advances the calendar. On Monday, you called it.
Oh, yeah, we're not there yet. I haven't heard, yeah, but I will.
All right. So then before we kind of call it a week,
Mhm.
on next week, we're gonna hopefully be very busy in here working on stuff. We have dispensation from the floor if we need it. We've got lots of time with Beth booked. I have asked Beth to work on language sort of based on what we were discussing the other day. It is about the sort of the merger part of it. And basically talking about taking some of our goals, but working within existing statute rather than having to create a whole new set of statutes, but to work within Chapter 11 of Title 16, which talks about formation of union school districts. So we'll have a lot of that to go through next week in terms of procedure. And there's going to be decisions we'll need to make if we want to modify what exists in current law to make it perhaps more mandatory or more quick or more whatever.
Are you talking about making the CISAs more mandatory?
No. This is the work of essentially what we are talking about is in the way we did things in Act 46, but it's now in statute, the formation of a union school district. There's a whole process laid out. It's voluntary. Right now, if you want to do the process, you can, and if you don't, you don't have to. We are talking about making sort of the initial part of that mandatory, in other words, you have to get together and talk, period. And then it lays out the rest of the steps.
You're talking about changing Act 46.
Act 46 was all session law, so it's gone. This is all titles, Chapter 11 of Title 16, which took all of that processes and put it in the statute in case in today's world, any two districts wanted to get together and create a union school district.
Sorry, but I'm wondering about something you just said. You said whether we want to make it quicker or more mandatory, and you're talking about the consolidation of districts.
The process by which communities come together to discuss it.
And if I can ask, I guess, as clarity, what that means is we learned a lot during Act 46 and how challenging the process was and how time consuming it was. And because we learned so much during that time, it is my hope that we can actually make it easier because communities really struggle with that effort.
So what we'll do when we come back is we'll have Beth walk through the process as envisioned by the chair, which differs very little as envisioned by Chapter 11. Y'all might want to read Chapter 11 of Title 16 while you're there over the weekend.
I have to get my bill report.
You want to like
The summary,
go, like
Oh, that's the summary.
section by section.
But it's actually, it's a good read just in terms of, it's an important read just in terms of the fact that this is what we're talking about as a way to get folks merging, but in a way that seems to respond to concerns over forced or not, the costs of things.
But so far, the legislation we're working on still seems to be moving towards non-mandated mergers. Okay,
Correct, yeah, just
Okay.
mandated talks.
right, yes.
Facilitation.
Voluntary.
But mandatory CSIS.
Yeah, yep. I feel like can get really confusing.
I think Tuesday we'll have a much better.
Well, not to me, what I mean is, I feel like it can get really confusing in the game of telephone.
Yeah.
Sort of to be talking about mandated discussions of non-mandated districts.
Yeah, why we call it voluntary, keep it
Yes,
mandate out.
we are all going to have to understand what we are talking about in order to keep it as clear and clean as possible in the public.
Thanks.
Well, I mean, 4 years ago, we basically rewrote all of chapter 11 of Title 16. And it's clean and clear. The process is clean and clear. It's worth reading because that's going to be the one we're going to be working off of.
Put it on my homework list.
And you know, there are many reasons for doing this, but the fact that it exists, it is in statute, we don't have to reinvent the wheel, I think will be very helpful. With that, we will, yes, send everybody home. Let's get to ready.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for a week. Next week's gonna be
Lots
so
of
much fun, a lot of work, a lot of discussion, a lot of disagreement.